Hi everyone, this is Sandy Racy with Stampacrew.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thanks for joining me today for another video tutorial. We're going to be using some of our online exclusive holiday products today. We have our new September to December holiday catalog. I can't help it, I call it the Holiday Mini Catalog, but it's our September to December catalog that's come out. We have new online exclusives. We have 2 new great kits. We have our World Card Making a Day, which is free for everyone. And if you want to follow along, one of our kits this month is the kit that we'll be doing together on World Card Making Day. So make sure to join my email list, and so you don't miss out on all that information. Okay, so today, excuse me, we're going to use the Holly Jolly bundle. It comes with a stamp set, it has lots of great little images and tons of sentiments. And then we have our Holly Jolly dies. Some of these are out in other projects. We're going to use this one today in this little kind of swag leaf and some of the sentiments. And then it also comes with a hybrid embossing folder. So I've already done my die cutting because we're going to do a little extra technique today. And I use a little post-it note tape to hold it. And I've already die cut a piece of Old Olive. So when you use the dies with the embossing folder, it does not cut out the leaves, but it does cut out kind of the tips of the leaves so you can pop those out. So super fun. You'll notice, now we used this in class at our Christmas in August event, and it's a little warped. Now this is what happens when you put them in the wrong sandwich in the die cutting machine. And you try to force it through and it tends to warp. So I'm going to work on trying to get this back flat a little bit. It still works, so it's not, it's not the end of the world for sure. All right, now it does cut off a little bit here, but don't throw that away. You're going to need that. And this is a card that I had actually seen when I was on the Orlando incentive trip. I have to put a disclaimer or I'll get called that less than 1% of demonstrators earn this this trip. But this was one of the samples. They have a little show, like a hospitality suite, and then they have samples. And then we put all of our swaps and everything. We give them our swaps to trade, and then we put one on the board so everybody can see it. So this was one of these samples, and I just thought it was really pretty, and so I wanted to do this in our workshop. So you guys will get to see that too. All right, so we have our inside sentiments. We're going to do our stamping, and then we're going to do a little bit of painting. So I'm using Old Olive and Real Red for my ink colors, and for the inside, I'm going to stamp Bright and Happy Christmas Wishes. We're going to do that in Real Red. I'm trying to see if I get that straight. And then we're going to take our little leaf. We'll just do a little one right there. Super cute. And then for our sentiment, we are going to stamp this other sentiment. It says, "May the spirit of the season bring you hope, happiness, and love." And so I'm going to stamp this a little bit up on my white cardstock, close enough to being centered. And then I'm going to stamp this a couple times, and then we're going to die cut these 2 out. Okay, so let's close this up. I've already got ink on my hands, so we don't want any more accidents. All right, so I've already die cut these 2, and I've got a little piece of gold. It's the same width as my tag here, and what I'm going to do, I want to flag them, and I want them to be flagged exactly the same. So I'm just going to lay that on top. All my scissors. Actually, I'm going to put that behind because I want to make sure I don't flag too too much. It's just a very light, I'm going to cut up right in the middle and just do kind of a shallow, little shallow flag here. Okay, and then grab all my stuff here. I didn't prepare myself. Just going to put a little adhesive on the back and then move that up so we just have a little bit of a gold angle right there. Isn't that cute? Okay. And then I've cut and tied a piece of the gold ribbon. This is an online exclusive, but it's also on the last chance list, and it's half price. You get a spool of gold and a spool of silver. So I would suggest everybody, you know, stock up on that if you can. All right, we're gonna just put this on the inside so we can get it out of the way. And then I want to pop up my leaves a little bit, so I'm just going to kind of make sure that they're all separated. Not a lot, but just enough to give it that fun 3D kind of effect. Okay. Kind of a fun little embossing folder and die set. You could also finish cutting these out if you just want to have some leaves to put on another project or something. Okay, now I want to make sure this is glued, and because there's not a lot of space, I just don't want anything coming off the edge here. Okay. Trying not to get the tips of my leaves that I popped up. And we're going to just pop that down. And then we have this little one that came out of this spot. Flip up the end of it there and glue this back into place. Okay, now what I thought was fun about this was we're going to do a little painting. We're going to use a little bit of white craft ink. I'm just putting a little drop here and using a paintbrush, and this is not a wet paintbrush. It's just got a small tip, and I'm going to take this and we're just going to do little dots, and it will take a while to dry, so you want to be careful. I'm just putting little dots where these dots are on the background. So I'm not doing the berries, I'm just doing in between. And if I miss one or two, that's okay. Okay, you need a pretty small, narrow brush to do this, or else it gets too big. All right. Now we're going to do a quick heat set, but we're going to try to be careful not to mess with it too much. The trick is seeing all the little spots. You might need to look at it at an angle. Okay, got a couple little ones over here. All right, so let's just double check that we haven't missed anything. Maybe one over here. Okay, let's do a very quick heat set to just kind of dry this a tad. Okay, it dried a little bit. If they're a little thicker, it might take a little longer. And then what I'm going to take next is some cherry cobbler. I'm using the dark cherry because I want it to, I'm going to add a teeny bit of white just to make it a little thicker and to give it a little more opaqueness. I don't want it to be pink, but I do want it to kind of stay where I put it on our berries and to be red. So I added a little bit of the white. Now, if you're just using straight red, it's really dark. And this just brightens it up a little bit. So I'm painting this on all of our berries. And if you need, make sure you have a small brush. I don't know what I was going to say. If you need something, I don't remember what I was going to say. Make sure it's a small tip, preferably rounded. I actually had 2 other paintbrushes I was using in class, and I don't know where they went. They are somewhere, but not where they're supposed to be. So I had to find an extra one, and those were my 2 best ones. I'll find them eventually. Okay, so I'm just trying to be careful that that the berries look round. And I'm not doing the whole berry, just mostly the tops, so it doesn't bleed together. I think I had that one bleed together. Okay, I think those are all the berries. The trick is not to add water. You don't want water in there. Okay, this will dry a little bit better. So while they're drying, I'm going to try not to touch anything there. I'm going to pop up my sentiment. Let's grab some dimensionals. I like painting on cards. I don't get to do it very often, but I really enjoy it. Okay, I'm going to set this down here, right there, trying not to smear any ink, because I'm going to set this aside and let it dry for a little while. Okay, we are going to add these. Oh, that's not on straight. Now that I look at it, I wonder if I can get this moved over just a tad. That's slightly better. Okay, so I'm just using a little glue on the stem, and then I'm going to use a mini dimensional further down. Glue that there. Same with this one. Mini dimensional and a little bit of glue there. We'll just kind of add that on for our card. And then I have our bow. Let's grab one of my paper pumpkin glue dots. Okay. And just like that, that's it. We're done. Look, see, you can see I already messed up a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to take, I'll take my, that's not the right one. I'll take my sand eraser and erase that in a minute. In a few minutes after my after all the ink's dry, so we don't have any more smears. But isn't that cute? So much fun. Just a fun little technique. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's projects, and make sure to click subscribe if you haven't done so already. Enjoy my mailing list so you don't miss out on future events and future sales and lots of different goodies. So, well, I didn't take that off. There we go. All right, thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.